Deirdre Bosa has more in today's Tech Check. Indeed, just how important is Qwen to Alibaba?
Turns out pretty important. And really, this Qwen chatbot breakout, it reinforces a pattern that Wall Street is starting to appreciate in the AI era. And that is that real breakout products come from companies with the full system. That means models, distribution, infrastructure, data. It's a proof point for Alibaba, much like Gemini 3 was for Google last week, that the company has something that its rivals do not, and that is a full stack or an end-to-end system. Look at how the two companies compare over the last year, both basically dismissed early in the AI era, but two of the biggest winners this year, nearly doubling their stock price. And when it comes to having a complete ecosystem, they both have their own models, they both have cloud businesses, established products with tons of data, and custom silicon, though Google's TPU is much further along here. Now, Alibaba reports tomorrow morning, Dom, and the question for investors is whether the same bull thesis powering Google can now travel to Alibaba. As we showed you, shares have doubled this year, both those companies, but the valuation, there's a difference here. Alibaba still lags at about 23 times forward earnings.
Now, Dee, if you take a look at the China versus U.S. AI race, so to speak, just how much or how quickly do you think that these gaps start to kind of close between companies like an Alphabet and Google, like a Meta Platforms or Microsoft and others, OpenAI, versus what we see with Alibaba, DeepSeek, and all the other names that we've come to know in China?
I mean, if you're talking about from an American investor point of view, this is a really interesting question because it depends on how much American investors want to pay attention to these open source models, which are gaining a lot of relevance and a lot of steam abroad. And it really comes down to this question: what is the global AI system going to be built on? Is it going to be on the American stack or the Chinese stack? And two very, very different propositions. The American one is, you know, you're seeing hundreds of billions of dollars being spent to develop the infrastructure and the energy and the chips for this ecosystem, whereas the Chinese one is being built more efficiently. They have the power already, but they're spending far less in terms of, you know, CapEx. So it comes down to this. But I will say, I read this stat, Dom, that was really interesting. The top 10 tech companies in China right now, I think they're worth about $2.5 trillion. In the U.S., the top 10 technology companies are worth $25 trillion. So perhaps some dislocation there. I don't know, but maybe some room to run for the Chinese players, especially as they're doing it more efficiently.